You're standing in the back of your kitchen, looking at a half-finished batch of ice cream, a stack of frozen veggies, and a tiny freezer that barely fits the corner. It's that moment when you wonder whether you're about to throw away money on something that won't actually solve the space problem, or if there's a unit out there that will slide into the tight spot, stay cold, and keep the door from swinging open every time someone leans in. That hesitation is real, especially when you're running a small bakery, a catering service, or even a home-based food prep business, and every square foot counts. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's unpack what a commercial upright reach-in freezer is supposed to do, and then see how the Atosa bottom-mount model measures up in the real world. In the commercial refrigeration world, the big selling points usually boil down to three things: how much you can store, how easy it is to get to what you need, and whether the unit will stay reliable without demanding a technician every month. For a lot of small-scale operators, the reach-in format is a compromise between a full-size walk-in and a countertop chest freezer. You get a vertical footprint that can slide into a hallway or a prep area, and you keep the cold zone contained behind a single door. The Atosa unit advertises itself as a compact storage solution with a bottom-mount compressor and interior LED lighting. Those are the headline features that actually matter once you start loading trays, pallets, or bulk bags. The bottom-mount compressor is a subtle design choice that you might not notice at first glance, but it changes the interior layout. Because the compressor sits underneath the freezer rather than on the back wall, you get a few extra inches of vertical space, enough to fit a standard 4-inch high food pan that would otherwise be cramped. In practice, I've seen kitchen managers slide a full tray of pre-portioned meals onto the lower shelf without having to shuffle items to make room for a hidden compressor housing. That extra space translates directly into a higher usable volume, even if the external dimensions stay the same. LED lighting inside the cabinet is another practical perk. Traditional reach-ins often rely on a single fluorescent tube that can flicker or dim over time, leaving you squinting at the back of the freezer. With LEDs, the whole interior glows evenly, which makes it faster to locate a specific package when you're juggling multiple orders. I've watched a catering team pull out a batch of frozen dough balls in under 10 seconds because they could see every shelf at a glance. It also reduces the heat load. A little. LEDs emit far less warmth than older lighting, meaning the unit doesn't have to work as hard to keep the temperature stable. The right-hinged locking door is a design decision that can be a blessing or a nuisance depending on your kitchen layout. If your prep line runs along a wall and the freezer sits against that wall, a right-hinged door swings away from the work surface, keeping the doorway clear for carts and trolleys. That's a genuine advantage in a cramped space. On the flip side, if you have the freezer positioned in the middle of an aisle, the door swing could block a neighboring workstation. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something you need to visualize before you commit. Ease of movement sounds nice on paper, and the Atosa does indeed come with built-in caster wheels that lock in place when you're ready to settle the unit. In a small restaurant that occasionally rearranges its floor plan for events, being able to roll the freezer a few feet without a forklift is a real time saver. The locking mechanism is firm enough that the unit won't drift when the floor vibrates from a nearby dishwasher, but the wheels aren't heavy-duty. If you're planning to move a 1,200-pound freezer regularly, you might want a dolly or a second pair of hands. Now, let's talk about who should actually buy this freezer. If you're a boutique bakery that needs to store a couple of pallets of butter, a few trays of pastry dough, and maybe a small inventory of seasonal desserts, the Atosa's compact footprint and extra interior height will likely cover your needs without forcing you to rent an industrial walk-in. Food trucks that operate in tight urban lots can also benefit from a vertical unit that slides under a counter. Similarly, a small medical practice that needs a secure place for vaccine vials could appreciate the right-hinged locking door and LED illumination for quick audits. Conversely, if you run a high-volume restaurant that throws out dozens of bulk bags of frozen produce every day, the capacity of this unit, while decent for its size, may become a bottleneck. The same goes for a grocery store backroom that expects to stack multiple layers of palletized goods. A larger walk-in or a side-by-side freezer pair would be more appropriate. Also, if your facility already has a standard back-mounted compressor freezer, the bottom-mount design won't necessarily give you a performance edge, so the added